What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 3 of What the Did I Just Read? So in the past 2 episodes, you have seen I read A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing, and most recently I read Dead 11 by, I cannot remember the author's last name right now, but I will put both of those thumbnails on the screen. So if you want to check those out after this, you're more than welcome to. You don't need to read them you don't need to watch them in any order. Just every other Wednesday, I post a video called What the Did I Just Read? I focus on books that I'm really excited for and might evoke some sort of emotion, or might be kind of scary or have weird elements to them. And sometimes that plays true and other times it doesn't. So in today's video, I am going to be reading Silver Nitrate, which is the new book by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. She is the author of Mexican Gothic and a few other books, but Mexican Gothic is probably her most popular one. I need to say thank you to Penguin Random House Audio for providing me with an audio arc of this book. It releases on July 18th, so I think by the time you're seeing this video, it will already be out, but thank you to Penguin Random House for giving me an audio arc. As part of this video, I will let you guys know how the audio copy is. If that was something you're thinking about getting, that'll be part of my review. So I thought it'd be fun to read the synopsis to you guys and read some of the blurbs for this book before I jump into it. So it is blurbed by Kristen White. She's the author of Hide, and she has a new book coming out called Mr. Magic, which I will be reviewing in a few episodes. Kristen White says, "No one punches the skin of reality to reveal the lurking sinister magic beneath better than Silvia Moreno-Garcia." It says, one of the most anticipated books of the summer. I know a lot of people are really excited for this. So let me read you guys the synopsis. It says, Montserrat has always been overlooked. She's a talented sound editor, but she's left out of the boys' club running the film industry in 90s Mexico City. And she's all but invisible to her best friend Tristan, a charming if faded soap opera star, though she's been in love with him since childhood. This is already pretty dramatic. This is a horror book, so I think that's going to be interesting that we have a soap opera star in the middle of a horror novel. Then Tristan discovers his new neighbor is the cult horror director, Albal Urita, and the legendary auteur claims he can change their lives, even if his tale of Nazi occultists imbuing magic into highly volatile silver nitrate stock sounds like sheer fantasy. The magic film was never finished, which is why Urita swears his career vanished overnight. He is cursed. Now the director wants Montserrat and Tristan to help him shoot the missing scene and lift the curse. But Montserrat soon notices a dark presence following her, and Tristan begins seeing the ghost of his ex-girlfriend. As they work together to unravel the mystery of the film and the obscure occultists who once roamed their city, Montserrat and Tristan may find that sorcerers and magic are not only stuff of movies. This sounds like really good. It's definitely out of my comfort zone. I don't love reading books about film and film industry just because it's not something that I consume as media a lot. So oftentimes the topics and themes of those I just either don't know a lot about or just don't usually have as part of my daily media, I guess. But I am really looking forward to this because I think it's going to be really unique. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of things mixed into this book, and it sounds like it's going to be kind of scary. I'm really excited. So yeah, let's get into the book and I'll let future me take over. So it's actually raining right now, just barely. It's like sprinkling, but I'm outside with the dogs and I wanted to update you guys on my first impressions of Silver Nitrate. So far, and I'm only about 10 or 15% in maybe. So far, we've really established our 2 main characters, Tristan and, I don't know I know I pronounced her name incorrectly, and listening to the audio, which is really good. I said I would update you guys on how the audio is. I honestly don't know that I would like this book if it wasn't on audio. It's really, really slow, but I'll talk about that in a second. Montserrat, I'm not pronouncing her name correctly, but so her and Tristan are childhood friends. They've been friends for a really long time, as I said in the synopsis, and they are coming together to help out with this film project. And so like the backdrop of this entire book is it's really, really enriched by the film industry. Like both people are major fans of horror films, in particular like old, low budget horror films, which I also really enjoy. Low budget horror films are like kind of tricky for me sometimes. That's a long story, but I do like horror films, and in particular I really appreciate low budget ones where people, actors and actresses and filmmakers and things have to do a lot of work to make things happen. I just think those are really cool. But there's a lot of like background atmosphere about the horror industry. In particular, they talk a lot about cursed films in horror. And in particular, The Exorcist is one, like in real life, that experience like I think some bad things on the set. And so right now, the only thing that's happened is we're getting really established with our two main characters. There's a lot of backstory behind them in their childhood and being friends. And we're really just slowly building up to the story and what's happening. And it is very slow. That being said, I'm really enjoying it. I really feel like this is a book that you go in for the atmosphere and you're like slowly getting on board with the story. And I have a feeling that over time it's going to ramp up and like really crazy bad things are going to happen. But right now we're just getting really solidified with the main characters, which I prefer, because before all the crazy happens, because I can feel it coming, and all the wild things and off the chart things that I have a feeling are going to happen, I want to be established with the characters and feel like I know them, and that therefore I'll be impacted by whatever is to come. So far we're setting up a good foundation. I would say for people going into this, it is slow, so just know that getting started. But yeah, stay tuned and I'll update you guys when I'm further in the book. Bye. And our two main characters have two very different experiences in the film industry. Montserrat got a degree or training in audio sound engineering and really enjoys making films better by their sound. There's talk about how like low budget films don't usually put a lot of money and energy into the sound quality, but that's really what makes a movie. So that's her passion, is like fixing audio and doing all the audio sound. He is an actor. In particular, he's a queer actor. He is a bisexual man. And so there's talk about how that has impacted him, particularly living in Mexico and doing film in the 80s. So yeah, again, we're getting a lot of this slow backstory, but I'm really enjoying it. I have no complaints, so we'll see where it goes. All right, so I have more to report about Silver Nitrate. I'm about 50% in. I actually think I'm going to finish it today, which is Sunday, which means there's going to be 2 episodes in a row of What the that I just read. That's really cool. I'm being kind of quiet because Casey is still sleeping. We're both waking up earlier in the mornings now, but neither of us slept very good last night, so she is still asleep. Anyways, I have more to report. So our two main characters, both of them are haunted by something, and those are already known like in the synopsis of the book and pretty early on. So Tristan is haunted by his ex-girlfriend. They were in a motor vehicle accident together, and Tristan is blamed for her death. Out of that vehicle accident, he got severely damaged to his eye to where he had to have like face reconstruction surgery. And that's important because Tristan was in a different kind of accident and really messed up her foot and had like a cane and crutches and kind of limps. And so they talk a lot about how their bodies are different from other people and how in the film industry that has really been difficult for them. And they really bond over that. And I love that. And so he's being haunted by his ex-girlfriend. Her Montserrat's sister has cancer. And so the way that the magic works in this world is that the film that is made has silver nitrate in it. There are ingredients like, so there's a silver nitrate. It's kind of confusing at first. Like at first I was like, I'm not going to understand this and that's really making me mad. But the more you listen or read on, you do kind of start to understand what's happening. So there are different ingredients, which are like the sound effects, the actors, the director, the after effects. You need all of those ingredients in a film in order for the spell. They talk a lot about spells and sorcerers, which I'm like, this is so cool. They talk a lot about spells and sorcerers, and it's like, it is kind of like a what the bleep am I reading moment. No one asked you what you think. Would love to hear from you later, but not right now. So it is kind of like what the bleep am I reading, because we're talking about magic and sorcerers and these ingredients of a film for these spells to be cast. And then what happens is if the spell is not fully complete in the film, then you can get cursed. And that's what's happening in this story. And I won't say any more about the plot because I don't want to go into spoiler territory, but that's like the basic setup, and it's really unique. Like, I would have never thought about something like this. There is a lot of history woven in, like historical figures in real life are throughout this book. Sometimes that gets a little bit confusing and overwhelming because so many different people are being mentioned. And I think the purpose here is to highlight that this magic and spells have been going on for a really long time. And, the author is also kind of hinting at the fact that these films, like in real life, like in our world, that have been cursed and people have died, she's kind of equating that this fictional world that she's come up with could be the cause for that. And I like how that's like kind of blended in. It's really good. I'm really loving this book. It definitely is out there with how these things are coming together, but it's so unique that I'm like excited to read it, and it's easy to get through. I don't know how I would feel about it on like a paper copy, though. If I continue to love it this much, I will get a physical copy of this, because I think this could be a fun book to reread again. Once you understand the world and what's happening, then you can get a better sense of who the other characters are and maybe some smaller details that are just going to be missed the first time you read this book. That I'm like pleasantly surprised. I will say there was a moment about 20% in that I was like, I don't know that I'm going to like this. But the more you listen to it, the more it grows on it, the more that you, I guess, get in the spell. It is really good, and I'm happy to report that. So, very unique story. There definitely are times where I'm like, what am I listening to? This magic and these spells with actors and actresses. And it like even talks about how the film ingredients themselves are like ingredients for these spells. And so if somebody wants a certain something, so let's say one of the directors wants a magical facelift, then she can figure out the ways of the spell in the film to try to make that happen. And as you know in the synopsis, our main characters are being haunted by something, and they're asked to help complete a film that was never completed. And bad things are starting to happen because of that. So it's also a kind of a commentary on like trying to correct bad things never goes well. Like, for example, her sister has cancer, and like if she were to try to correct that, then it's not going to go well, right? Because unfortunately, we need suffering in the world, and we need suffering in order to have happiness and other things. That's a whole philosophical thing. But like, we need these things to happen in order for other things to happen. And when we try to stop those things, bad things come from that. So I don't know. I'm loving it. It's so much fun. The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I really should get a physical copy. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm on a book buying ban. But in the fall, I would definitely love to get a physical copy of this. So, all right, I'll see you guys probably at the end because I'm halfway through. Most things that are going to happen from now to the end are going to be spoiler territory. So I'll see you guys at the end of the book and give you a full review. Bye. All right, I have finished Silver Nitrate, and what a roller coaster of feelings I have about this book. So I've kind of given you guys the main part of the plot. There were a few things that I wrote down that I wanted to add. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I was just checking my notes really quick. So I finished the book, and I'm going to report this as a 3-star, which is a little disappointing because earlier, in the last clip, like I was thinking this was going to be a solid 4-star. I don't think I ever felt like it was going to be a 5-star, but I really, really thought it was going to be a 4-star. The reason I'm rating it 3 stars is because this book throws a lot at you at once. And like I said earlier, understanding the magic system takes time, but then once you get it, it makes a lot of sense and it's really fun. But then there's just so much filler in this book about people all over the world, and it just never really came together in a way that felt satisfying to me. I did want to mention there's a lot of talk about eugenics in this book. The history of the film industry in real life and in this book really tailors, like really, I don't know a good word, like really pulls from eugenics as a baseline of making like the evil in this world happen, I guess is the way I would put it. So just be aware there's a lot of talk about eugenics in this book. I think the complaints that I had mostly were that there was so much filler. and maybe I felt like there was so much filler because the things that I wanted from it, like the haunting, Tristan's ex-girlfriend haunting him and him getting candles and salt and things to try to make that haunting less, was really interesting. I loved those things. I loved the superstitious aspect. I loved the seance. I loved all of that, but it kept getting overrode by like all of these filler things about minute details of the world and the history of what's happening, that it really overtook that element. I don't think we ever reached like full what the am I reading. Now, granted, my standard for that is like really high, and the books that I'm reading aren't really going to meet that. Really, this is just a fun way of reading thrillers and horror. So I don't ever expect something to be so off the charts, though when it is, like, this will be a good place to talk about it. Like recently I read The Writing Retreat, and that was like, what am I even reading? But it wasn't in a good way. Anyways, back to the point. I think the really cool part about this book in the world, like I said in the last clip, is about the magic system, the way it uses film, the film industry. Our two main characters are very interesting. I would have loved to got to know them more. I mean, we get to know them really well. It just doesn't feel like it's in a meaningful way to the story. The ending is satisfying. I will say I really did enjoy the ending. One of the things going into this book that I was really interested in was Tristan and Montserrat's relationship and how she had feelings for him, and that wasn't a big part of the story, and it's not a romance, it's not supposed to be, but I feel like when it's in the synopsis of something, there should have been more talks about it. I mean, it is sprinkled throughout, and things do kind of tie together in the end in that regard, and it's realistic, but I don't know, I just felt like it was missing the mark for me, unfortunately. Now, it being a 3-star means that I would still recommend it to people who like horror. People who are big film buffs definitely should read this book. And I had that kind of going against me. I don't know a lot about the film industry. I don't know a lot about, directing films and things like that. So if that is something that you know a lot about and you are a big film buff, then this book is totally for you and you totally should read it. Otherwise, I would say if you like really slow-paced horrors, which horror, can be a pretty slow-paced genre, and it pulls from a lot of different things, and that's pretty normal. And I know that, but like comparing it to so let's talk about the other books that I've read so far for the series. I read A Twisted Love Story. I felt like it was pretty middle of the road. That book is the marketing of it was not good. And then I read Dead 11, which is a horror thriller, according to the author and publishing. And I really liked that one a lot better. And that's probably because of the thriller element of it that kept it moving. And I liked the supernatural aspects of it. I felt like it all came together well. And then pulling to Silver Nitrate as the third episode, I did really like a lot of elements in this. That's why it has to be a 3-star. And sometimes I'm like, maybe it's a 3.5, but I felt like I really, really enjoyed 30% of the book, and 70% of it felt like, okay, 30% of it I really enjoyed. Maybe another 20% I was interested and could follow. And then the other 50% I felt like it was filler. So yeah, that's my review. That's my first book by this author. I do really want to read Mexican Gothic. I feel like that one I would like more, but I don't know. Yeah, so hopefully this helps you decide if you want to read this book or not. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was the 3rd episode, and it's been a lot of fun to do this series. I'm looking forward to the next one already. I hope you enjoyed getting an episode a week early. Yeah, don't forget to leave a comment about the book. If you're interested in reading it, definitely let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content, and there's a channel membership with extra benefits if you're ever interested in that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much to channel members. Bye.
Skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer.